right? The doer usually gets further than the thinker, because the thinker stays there in thought and the doer creates through trial and error, through ups and downs, wins and losses, some type of progression. So I found a quote that says, "The universe doesn't give you what you ask for with your thoughts. It gives you what you demand with your actions." Here's another one. "There is no fate that plans men's lives. Whatever comes to us, good or bad, is usually the result of our own action or lack of action." And so the video I'm going to play in a second here takes this idea and makes it physical. Sometimes, the things we do, knowingly or unknowingly, when you make it tangible and you're able to tell a concrete story with a narrative, it helps you realize, maybe I'm missing the mark here. And that's why I love to represent some of these things that way, because, we don't realize what we don't realize sometimes, right? And so the idea behind this video is there's the character has a box of plans under his bed, and just things that he's always wanted to do written down on paper, folded away, and he takes them out from time to time and he thinks about them, talks about them. They seem real, right? There's this sort of excitement when you look at them because you realize that that's what could be. Yet every day when you pull that box out, nothing's there but paper, right? If you want something, you need to immerse yourself into it, and action is always going to supersede plans, right? And, I understand that planning is critical. You don't want to be wandering around in the dark, but if planning is a car, action is the wheels, right? The doer usually gets further than the thinker, because the thinker stays there in thought and the doer creates through trial and error, through ups and downs, wins and losses, some type of progression. You fall on your face more than the person that never leaves, but you also get up and you learn and you build. And so that's the message here, is that in this box of plans is hope. And it's the potential to do the spectacular. It's the potential to change your life. But until you step out your door, it's nothing. It's pieces of paper in a box on a shelf. It's conversation you have with your friends, your family. It's things you think about when you wake up or when you go to bed, but it's not real. And to make something real requires the courage to not know, right? To attack something without knowing, maybe even the specific trajectory. You just that's what life is. If we had all the answers, what would be the point? I always believed that possibilities were infinite, that nothing was off limits. And so I collected in this box my plans. And man, I had such a full agenda, right? If you look inside, you could see them. That one in the back, that was the plan I made to leave my job and start over. And there, that was where I was going to build a better relationship with my sisters. That one, that was piano. I was going to learn to play piano. And that one, that's where I was going to move to a little cottage on the lake. I've always dreamed of seeing the sunrise over the water. And that's where I was going to start the business and begin a family. That's where I'd run my first marathon. But time slipped away, and plans seemed to accumulate. The box became more and more full, and I started to realize that It was simply a holding pattern for a life I wasn't living. These little plans were IOUs, kept in a box to remind me what was real and what was not. Maybe I missed the point. So I put down the box, slid it back under the bed, and I stepped out my front door and little by little began piecing together that new life. The job, the city, the cottage by the lake, the piano, the new relationships. I immersed myself in the detail. And what I saw was a life changing in front of me, not because of plans, but because I moved forward without them. As the saying goes, if you wait for the perfect moment, you will be waiting for the rest of your life. While the things you want most, they remain tucked neatly away on a shelf, gathering dust, evolving into could-bes or would-haves. So now I keep that box empty, facing my bed, so when I wake up every morning, I remind myself to leave nothing for someday. Dream away, because dreams remind us of hope. Hope that becomes courage. Courage that manifests itself in little steps forward. Steps that over time create a new world that looks a lot different than the one you once knew. So dream away. Dream away, because we have all been blessed with the ability to take nothings and make them somethings. We've all been given the power to take blank spaces and make them landscapes, to see with our eyes worlds that aren't yet there. And what a shame it would be to repress that gift, to label it fiction, to keep it next to our books and our movies. How much a tragedy to allow it to be merely a temporary escape, instead of the permanent beginning it was meant to be. So dream away. Let it lead you, because dreams, they'll either become the stories we tell or the regrets we hide away. A personal evolution or untapped potential. The reason we jump out of bed in the morning, or the reason we keep our eyes closed, clinging to the last few seconds of joy before we confine ourselves to the self-made prisons we built, the invisible walls that separate what we see from the possibility a short trip away. But look around you, one might say. This is reality, and this looks a lot different than the dreams that bounce around in my head. If dreaming was some magic formula, I'd be there already. Well, magic isn't quite my claim. No, dreams are not magic. I think their composition is so simple, so practical, so obtainable that magic, it isn't needed here. In fact, thinking dreams require some larger-than-life magic might just be the problem. Dreams require a willingness to start and a single step forward. The rest we figure out along the way. Every little decision to carry on through the haze of that great unknown. That's where we discover life's possibility. And if that's magic, then my friend, we are all magicians. Okay, he might inquire further, but is any of it guaranteed? Well, that's a highly complex question as we make our way through this highly complex world. But I will do this. I'll guarantee one thing and one thing only. If you do not dream of better tomorrows, today will be eternal. Things will stay exactly as they are now. See, your dream is the North Star that guides the path. The target calling the arrows, it's the lighthouse that brings the ship home from sea. Without a foundation to build upon, you'll have nothing to stand on. So instead of talking about guarantees, let's talk about lost opportunity cost. Let's talk about what happens if you don't go, if you don't explore, if you don't build. What will you miss? See, most people, they only understand what has already been created. Let's not be most people. Why stay in the lines when there's nothing else to discover? Why black and white when color changes the dynamic entirely? The greatest enemy of possibility, of potential, is one's need for certainty. It's the person who talks about something more, but knows something more will remain an afterthought. Because as beautiful as it sounds, it's not guaranteed. And because they cannot guarantee something better, they will guarantee the status quo. But I'm asking you to see the flaws in that line of thinking. I'm asking you to understand that our very biology cries out for safety. That we have to fight our urge to settle. Our desire to take the monster we know over the one we don't, because it's the monsters we don't know that put meaning into life. It's the journey that elevates the destination. And while it might feel like what you want in the short term, that long term, it sings a different tune. To get where you need to go, you have to move into the headwind that is the comfort of now. Find within yourself the courage to simply crack the door, to just let a little bit of light in and see how it forces its way into every corner of your soul. Once you feel that satisfaction of progress, you'll be consumed, pulled in, as though the only thing larger than fear of failure is the rush of becoming who you were meant to be. I once heard something that changed the way I looked at the world. Something simple, the idea that we don't climb the mountain for the view. We climb mountains because of who we become on the journey up. The view is merely representative of that journey. The dream isn't in and of itself the goal. It's an invitation to immerse yourself in all that is beautiful, meaningful, worthwhile, jaw-dropping, eye-opening, and powerful. It is what cracks that door and lets the light in. So dream away. Because that dream, it's no threat to your safety. It's what will ultimately save you. So dream away. Dream away so that you capture that sunrise you were given. Dream away so that you are pulled to that which makes life worth living. Dream away so that you never lose that child inside. So that you don't leave the adventure on the table and keep your ideal existence on the shelf. Dream away so that you see the abundance that surrounds us, the hope within us, and the future that calls us for yourself, the people in your life, and the ones who eventually will be. Dream away.